Breakdown. I'm Jason Gilbo. With me is Nick Tasso. Taking a look at tonight's pitching options. Overall, it's a pretty top-heavy slate. Once you really get past the couple of names up top, there's not really a ton to like.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. It was really tough trying to figure out a GPP or a low-priced one tonight, but hopefully we can nail that one. But like you said, the top ones really are the guys to go with.
Yeah, I was looking at like Keuchel and Quintana. I wish they were like a little bit cheaper, like maybe 1,000 or two cheaper on DraftKings because they don't really separate themselves much from Kluber or Sale.
No, not at all. And I was looking at Quintana, who I do like, but I agree with you. The price tag's a little bit up there for me, even though he isn't a good matchup.
Yeah. Let's talk Chris Sale here first. Obviously, getting the Rays on the road. He's a huge favorite. I don't even find like either Sale or Kluber all that badly priced. I was kind of expecting over 13K.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Sale, just because of his last start, he got priced a little bit down. But you have to remember he didn't have his usual catcher that game. So I think hopefully if Sandy Leon's back catching, things will turn out a little bit better than his last game where he kind of imploded a little bit.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, 2.47 ERA over his last 10 starts. He's averaging about 9.7 strikeouts per game that span. I mean, he's just one of the elite strikeout guys. He's going to flirt with around double digits every time out. And I think especially in this matchup, just because you look at Tampa Bay and, they strike out a ton against lefties about 25% of the time.
Yep, totally agree. Sale is a huge strikeout guy, leads the league, obviously. And every start he basically is going to get right around 10 or so, and he's getting pretty close to Pedro Martinez in most 10K strikeout games in the season in the Red Sox uniform. So obviously I don't think anything's really going to change. The last start, like I said, was a huge aberration, so I think he's going to get back on track here.
Yeah, I mean, 3 starts against Tampa Bay this year, he's got 36 strikeouts.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously he's a top-end option tonight. We'll talk Corey Kluber here. Obviously, 1A, 1B. Kluber gets the home matchup against Colorado, who obviously away from Coors are a lesser offense, and they're another team that strikes out quite a bit. I mean, 22.7% of the time against righties and 23% of the time over the last 30 days. So this is probably another start where Kluber, I mean, I can continue to just see him locking that dominance and kind of be another one who flirts around 10 strikeouts.
Yeah, he's got 10 or more Ks in 8 of his past 10 starts, so he definitely is in a great spot here. Like you just touched on, Colorado leaving Coors kind of struggle, and they do strike out a decent amount, so I think Kluber is kind of locked in. And the Rockies do have a good amount of right-handed bats, which Kluber could obviously dominate.
Yeah, as you said, I mean, striking a double digits over his last 10, so it's out of control. Can you rank Sale and Kluber? I mean, do you really have a preference tonight, or is it just kind of up in the air?
Yeah, it's kind of up in the air. If I really had a preference, I'd probably just go with Sale, just because he's shown it all season, and we've seen Kluber have some kind of blow-ups at times. Not many, but he just hasn't been on point every single start, so I'd probably go with Sale. Plus also Colorado, sometimes their bats wake up on the road.
Yeah, we've seen it before. I have a little preference for Kluber just pitching at home, where he's averaged about 5 more fantasy points per game, and he's just been dominant there. I think that's kind of where my edge is. And we've also seen Sale. I mean, in those 3 starts, he's given up a couple of runs, a couple of homers to Tampa Bay, who have seen him a couple of times now. That's also something to note. But either way, I think Sale and Kluber obviously are top 2 options.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you really can go wrong with either one.
No. And this is where we kind of branch off. You're looking at Dallas Keuchel as that lefty. Obviously, in his 3rd start back from injury. Haven't really quite seen anything really out of him that makes him DFS relevant for me yet. I kind of want to see it before I plug him in, but this is a really good matchup.
Yeah, no, I can totally agree with that. I'm trying to be an early adapter here. And like you said, it's a great matchup for him. So I think this is one of those starts that could get him back on track.
Yeah, definitely do. I mean, you look at this matchup. I mean, obviously Chicago, a team that, is pretty banged up right now. Matt Davidson, Avisel Garcia in and out of the lineup. Obviously Todd Frazier gone. So, I mean, you look at this lineup, I mean, outside of really Jose Abreu, there's not a lot of really right-handed power that could get to Keuchel.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are going to be shying away from him just because where he's priced at, and he hasn't done so well since coming back. So I think that kind of benefits his ownership level. So that if you were to veer off from the top two, Keuchel is my guy.
I like the other lefty there in that kind of price range that's below those two is Quintana. Going on the road, pitching against San Francisco. This is a team that just continues to be awful against both handedness. I mean, in this ballpark as well. The one problem for me is obviously Quintana's price tag, and I kind of feel the same with Keuchel. They just kind of sit in that range where it's like no man's land. Priced in between Kluber and Sale, and then some other cheaper guys you might want to take some risk on to actually get bats. But look at Quintana. I mean, strikeouts have been there in his four. Chicago starts this year 6, 7, and 12. Obviously he struggled against Arizona, but I mean, top 5 in Sierra, top 5 in XFIP on this slate, 26% strikeout rate on the year. Cubs should give him some plenty of run support. They're pretty severe road favorites at -174. So I like Quintana here. I see him kind of like how I do with Keuchel, is just kind of being more of a leverage play if you're trying to fade one of those top two arms.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've done a lot of attacking the San Francisco Giants at home this year, and it's actually turned out pretty well. So I actually have no issue rostering Quintana in this start as well.
And then we get to the ugly names. This is where it doesn't get fun at all.
No, it's not fun. And I'll start just so there's no thing. Jeremy Hellickson, I know it's only been one game, but he looked really good in his last start. He's going up against the Angels in Anaheim, which always benefits the starter. It's very similar to AT&T Park, where visiting starters can really dominate the home hitters. So that's kind of why I'm going with Hellickson. I completely do not feel comfortable, but if you're looking for a little bit savings-wise, I don't mind throwing him in.
Yeah, looking at his numbers, I mean, I think at this point we're just kind of all hoping to get around. This is like SP2 territory for about every single one of these names. And I just look and go, all right, what guy probably has the least amount of blow potential? And that's who I'm kind of looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing too about Hellickson is that over the years, he's kind of been a streaky pitcher where he'll go off on these runs. So hopefully maybe new team is kind of giving him a rejuvenation.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, big ballpark, Angels offense. It's nobody's birthday, so it's not like Mike Trout can go up there and hit his home run and do his damage. I mean, obviously there's a couple names to still worry about, but yeah, I think Hellickson can go out there and kind of pitch deep into games and give you 6 good innings.
Yep.
My guy, Jay Happ, obviously not an ideal matchup against the Yankees, but they're actually a team that's pretty average against lefties. I mean, 21st in WOBA, 23% strikeout rate. They're middle of the road in ISO as well. Obviously, some of these younger names, I mean, yeah, they have a lot of pop in terms of the home run department, but they do strike out quite a bit. We've seen that kind of be that Yankees woe this year. Over the last 30 days, I mean, they're bottom 10 in WOBA and WRC+. So Happ is interesting. He's averaged about 16 DK points over his last 10 starts. I think 15 to 20 DK points is a decent projection for him tonight. I just think with the lack of SP2 options, I feel okay using him just because I don't see him go out there and just getting shelled and giving up 6 to 7 earned runs and not even getting out of the third.
Yeah, for his price tag, I think Happ's in a pretty good spot. Typically, we'll see him 1,000 or 2 more. Obviously, it's not ideal matchup. The ballpark's okay, but he hasn't pitched too terribly in Rogers Center this year, so I don't kind of mind rostering him. Obviously, it's not safe, and anyone that we're talking about right now is not going to be a safe option tonight.
No, definitely not. And your fifth guy?
Not happy about it, but Chad Kuhl. I mean, there's really not much to say about him except he's in a decent matchup. The ballpark is clearly going to benefit him. And he's been okay. He's not great, just like most of these guys, but I think he has a little bit in there. He's priced pretty low, and you're going to get very low ownership rate on him because no one wants to roster him.
Yeah, you look at this lineup, I mean, it fits them well because, one, Tigers lose to DH. There's one lefty in this lineup, and that's Jim Adducci. And that's Cool's obviously his weakness is lefties. Other than that, he's decent against righties. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I think in terms of an SP2, I'm definitely okay with Cool. Big ballpark. He's a huge home favorite. Tigers under 4 runs for an implied total. So, yeah, I think Cool's a viable SP2 tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't expect a huge strikeout number because he never really does. But if he's able to kind of limit the damage, I think he's not bad.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you there. My fifth guy, Zach Godley. Obviously, this is a tough matchup against the Dodgers, who have been, obviously the hottest team in baseball. But, getting past the matchup here, I think Godley's one of the more talented pitchers on this slate. He's shown his ability to pitch well at home. I love the fact that the ground ball rate's over 55%, 26% strikeout this season. This is still a Dodgers team. I mean, against righties, they still strike out quite a bit. I mean, 22% over the last 30 days, 23% against right-handers on the year. Obviously, the ballpark, the matchup isn't all that great, but I've just seen Godley kind of come in and perform before, and I just think at home, Arizona's playing well. I mean, this is kind of an intriguing spot to kind of get a low ownership GPP play.
No, I can totally see that. He has the strikeout potential, which you want from a good GPP play. Obviously, the matchup isn't ideal. What concerns me about it isn't that it's at home, because Godley actually has been okay in Chase Field, but just the fact that there are a ton of lefties in that lineup, and that's the handedness that he kind of struggles against. It's still under 300 WOBA, but that makes me a little nervous. I can totally see rostering him because there's a good chance that he does have a good performance. And if he doesn't, he gives up a few runs, he still has that potential to kind of have those strikeouts to kind of negate the runs given up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, and he's priced down for the matchup, which is good to see. But yeah, with obviously any time you're going to be facing, Chris Taylor, Corey Seager, Turner, Bellinger, Jock, I mean, Grandal, those guys are all, big potential. It's scary, but definitely not a cash game guy. It's just more of that SP2, just because one, I mean, he's a top 5 pitcher on the slate. He's just in a bottom 5 matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more.
So the dreaded question, I don't even think we're going to get anyone, but was there anyone that was close to your radar?
The only guy would be Andrew Kashner. He's not really good. Most of the guys we talked about today weren't very good, but I think the matchup is okay. The Mets really don't show too much some days, and he could come in with a good start, even though his road ERA really isn't that good, but who kind of knows?
Yeah. The one guy who kind of popped up for me, and I'm not falling for it, and that's Julio Teheran. He's 6,900 on DraftKings, and he's obviously taking on the Phillies, but it's a team he obviously was just shelled by the Phillies. At home, he's pitched awful. I think it's just a stay away situation. I'm not going to be baited into taking him as an SP2 tonight.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Marquez for Colorado.
He hasn't been bad, but not tonight.
Not the matchup.
No, but it's a crazy slate when you got to talk about guys like Jay Happ and Chad Kuhl and Hellickson. What a slate we have.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No, this is just August baseball. I feel like we've had really bad pitching slates of late.
Yeah, it kind of happens. Guys get injured and get extra days here or there. So you see, or two, you guys get traded as well. So that kind of changes things.
Yeah, it definitely does. So that's going to wrap it up here. You can head over to DaveFantasyCafe.com, check out great tools and content.